Nintendo just did a direct a few days ago where they officially announced their upcoming console, the Switch 2. And a lot of fans' initial reactions were to praise Nintendo because they were satisfied with the games and the features. Well, most of the features. But the majority of the fan base quickly turned once the prices of the console and the games were revealed. And this even extended to the Joy-Cons and Nintendo actually charging for a guide to the console. This led many Americans to blaming Trump for the recent tariffs as to why the prices are higher. But just a few hours before posting this video, Nintendo revealed information that seems to completely contradict that theory. Welcome to the internet versus the Nintendo Switch 2. It starts off with Geoff tweeting out, Mario Kart World will retail for $80 for the digital edition. Donkey Kong Bonanza is $70. Synth Potato replies, Nintendo are the greediest MFs in the industry. And Pixel says, as if PlayStation and Xbox don't do the exact same. Joel replies, I'm sorry, is that 80 American dollars in this economy? Magic Artist 1 replies, you can play Double Dash on the Steam Deck for free. Omni replies, digital? How much the hard copy gonna cost? And Michael Turk replies, I'm hearing 90 for a physical copy. Yora replies, that's fine. Games that are worth hundreds of hours of playtime deserve that price. And Carter replies, no, they are not. I'm sure you buy all the skins and pay DLC in games too. You are literally the problem with gaming. Frozen Fang quote tweets Geoff and says, send another bomb over there, yo. They must have forgotten who they was talking to. Done lost they fucking mind. Domberger quote tweets Geoff with this compilation of LeBron James and says, Nintendo, when it's time to drop the most anti-consumer practice you've ever seen in your life after showcasing the most innovative and creative games in the industry? Honeybean replies, Nintendo didn't set these prices. President Trump's stupid fucking tariffs did. And Dumburger says, yeah, it was definitely Trump and totally not Nintendo using him as an excuse to jack up prices. Listen, I think Trump's stupid as shit, but so are you if you honestly believe that's why it's $80. Yoshiware quote tweets Geoff and says, Nintendo defenders will call you broke and ungrateful for complaining. Omelette quote tweets Geoff and says, lukewarm take, Nintendo games are not good enough to be $30+. Psycho T-Man says, I'll buy crack before I drop $80 on fucking Mario Kart. Medicare quote tweets him and says, and into the trash it goes. Ryuko quote tweets Geoff and says, Nintendo just raised the statistic for GameStop armed robberies by 30% by the way. Culture Crave also tweets out the price. And Chris replies with a poll asking overpriced. And with nearly 3,000 votes, 92% said yes. Matt replies, what has Trump done? And Brian says, there's no tariffs on digital shit. Cappuccino tweets out, 80 USD for Mario Kart? Bowser better step out of that console and start a family with me if they're gonna charge that much. And Ivory replies, you people are sick. Boogie2988 tweets out, fuck Nintendo for setting the precedent of $80 video games. You just screwed over every gamer, not just Nintendo fans. Fuck you. And Dan replies, I only listen to moral imperatives from people who didn't fake having cancer. Meme Bastard tweets out, Nintendo fans will defend anything, and attaches an image that says, when you ask the Nintendo fanboys why the new Mario Kart and Donkey Kong game costs $80, leave the multi-billion-dollar company alone. Mudahar tweets out, the Nintendo community is insane for defending rising prices. Nintendo has done this to clearly start normalizing a bad price increase and use market factors as cover. Don't believe me? Just Google Mario inflation. Nikism tweets out, dudes at Rockstar seeing these Nintendo prices. Tyler tweets out, Rockstar watching all of us react to Mario Kart being $80, knowing they about to drop GTA 6 for $100. Phoenix replies, hate to sound like I got Rockstar's meat in my mouth or something, but they've got to know that the content in GTA 6 would justify the price increase over a Switch title. And Tyler replies, nah, I get it though. They know they're sitting on the game everyone wants. Fragstar replies, difference is, I would pay $100 for a AAA GTA 6 over a mobile-looking party racing game. And Whack replies, average Rockstar cocksucker. Mario Kart clears. A-Dog replies, I remember when games used to be $60. Keaton replies, I'm prepared for the hate on this, but I think the game should be free for the first month and then move to a subscription model. $10 a month. Maybe some kind of option to buy it annually for $100 up front. It secures their funding and makes it more available to all gamers. Twitter user tweets out, Rockstar executives pricing GTA 6 after seeing this, and attaches this clip.
So looking at it, bro, we gotta go ahead and get in at least 10,000.
Nintendo America also tweets out about their welcome tour with the caption, explore the new system through tech demos, minigames, and quizzes with Nintendo 2 Switch Welcome Tour, a paid, downloadable launch title for Nintendo Switch 2. Mr. Pascal quote tweets Nintendo and says, paid. Nintendo. No one is buying this. And Scratch HD replies, remember when you got a masterpiece for free with the console? I remember. And attaches this image of Wii Sports. Synth Potato replies with a picture of Astro's Playroom and says, completely free with every PS5 by the way. And it's such a banger they turned it into a full game that won Game of the Year. Canadian Czar says, the audacity to make a game that helps you learn about the Nintendo Switch 2 and make it paid? No one is buying this game. Hell, Astro's Playroom walks all over this and it was free. Blocks quotes Nintendo and says, you have to pay for the console tutorial game? Faz replies to Nintendo by saying, making the tech demo paid is crazy. Go Nintendo tweet also posts about the Nintendo Switch 2 welcome tour, claiming that it's priced at roughly $6. And Jay tweets replies, oh no, Nintendo haters can't afford $6 because they're homeless. And Shafrillas quote tweets it saying, you guys don't understand. Nintendo is a starving indie dev. Without your $6, they can't feed their families. And Patback Nitro replies, this is really the dumbest thing they've done. A very specific console tech demo, acting as a super in-depth guide to the console and its many features, and they just could not let it come packaged. Something they think is valued at $6 just could not be covered by the $450 spent. Woodhawker tweets out, some Nintendo Switch 2 details not explained in the direct. Mario Kart World is $80. Enhanced games are free with NSO. Pre-orders start April 9th. $449 or $499 with Mario Karts for the console. Some game cards will just be keys to proxy downloads. What else have you seen or heard? The Muffin Man replies, yeah, those key cards will probably be for 100 plus gigabyte games and lazy AAA devs. Then GameStop tweets out an update from Nintendo with a screenshot that says, pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 in the US will not start April 9th, 2025 in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions. Nintendo will update timing at a later date. The launch date of June 5th, 2025 is unchanged. GameStop will continue to work closely with Nintendo and provide updates as soon as more information becomes available. Stay tuned for further details. JA replies, make them in the USA and then you will have no tariffs. Manu replies, you're a fucking moron. Nintendo is a Japan-based company. And JA says, right, and USA companies make things in other countries, so why can't they make things here? Roman Puss replies, so TLDR, they need to wait and determine how much they need to raise the price? Lol. Nosy Gamer says, everyone knows tariffs are going to be your excuse for high prices, no one is falling for this. Marcus replies, $549 Switch 2's incoming. The fanboys will find a way to defend that too. JT says, the fact that the tariffs were not already baked into the insane pricing scheme is just wow. Jake Randall replies, all my excitement is gone right now. This feels awful. Uncle Ruckus tweets out the entire Nintendo situation summarized and attaches this meme that says, is Nintendo really that bad of a company? No, it's Donald Trump's fault. Dexerto also tweets about the statement from Nintendo. And Uncle AI quote tweets Dexerto and says, finally get a new Donkey Kong game, $140. Jolly J quote tweets Dexerto with this clip in the caption, so the Switch 2 prices were always going to be $450 with $80 games without the tariffs. That was just Nintendo being greedy. Lol. This shit is going up.
That price is not so bad. The game itself is a little expensive. Okay. Now with tariffs, we don't know if the tariffs are affecting this console right now. We do know that in 2019, Nintendo moved production of the console out of China to Vietnam to avoid the tariff war. But as we know today, Vietnam was just hit with tariffs. So we have no idea how that's going to work or anything like that. You would hope that Nintendo might have planned that into the release of the system. But we'll see from there.
Touches so.
IGN also tweets about this statement from Nintendo, and tweets and Yeats replies, oh, so it has nothing to do with the fact that it's inferior to the first Switch and that the majority of people said they aren't bothering buying it. And Tamor also tweets out about the statement, with Mighty Keith replying laughing and saying, man, Trump sucks ass. And Trapstar saying, sounds like an excuse to blame a higher price point on. Doubt it affects them enough to warrant a raised price. Sounds like they're going to use it as a scapegoat to support greed. And Shafrillas quote tweets him saying, I guess I was right about Nintendo just being greedy initially, and now I get to blame Trump for making it worse. Awesome. Trey Nobles tweets out, fuck this. Who wants to travel back to 2004 to get a $50 GameCube? And Rambling Hamster replies, yeah, even after accounting for inflation, that would have been the equivalent of like $84 today. It launched at $199, I believe, which was about $362 after inflation for comparison to the Switch 2. Mr. Jinjin quote tweets Trey and says, I miss poverty, Nintendo. Nintendo is that one friend who starts dropping all their friends the second they start stacking real paper. KK Nook replies, I need Nintendo to flop so extraordinarily hard to keep their ego in check, I swear. And Jinjin replies, pride comes before the fall, and in the valley, humility is learned. Except with Nintendo, we've been through this song and dance twice now, so they never learn. Central Leaks tweets out, here's how the Nintendo Switch 2 menu will look. And DeBest replies, nah, if they don't add themes, it's on purpose at this point. Hugo replies, an event. Nutty Royale quote tweets Central Leaks and says, this is how the Nintendo Switch menu will look, cause because people can only afford one game. The people under here trying to say this doesn't apply to them for some reason. It attaches an image of someone wearing a shirt that says Debt Slave. Elizabeth replies, didn't Nintendo say that Tears of the Kingdom would be the only game above $60? Never trust a corporation, y'all. Papix tweets out, Nintendo genuinely just paved the way to $80 games being the norm. What the fuck? This fucking sucks. Paywalled the bare minimum party chat system that every platform has for free, by the way. Genuinely fuck this company. Nintendo needs to perpetually stay in the underdog position, otherwise they start pulling this shit. Nintendo pulling this is so much worse too. Their asses are never getting those games on sale. Best you'll get is a $5 off after 5 years post-game launch. At least I know an Xbox or PS game would drop after half a year and even more after a year. You have to pay for a subscription to use a button on their controller. What a fucking joke. Then they attach a quote tweet from IGN, which announced the new controllers and shows that the price points are at $90. And they continue saying, $90 Joy-Cons. Robbed and Blaker tweets out, it's called Switch 2 because after watching Nintendo Direct, I'm a Switch 2 Steam Deck. Ava tweets out this meme with a caption Nintendo of a guy in a gas station with a sign that says, please don't say damn when you hear the price. Rock Solid tweets out, Xbox gave up, PlayStation is too lazy, Nintendo is too greedy, does nothing, and attaches an image of Gabe Newell. Coke replies, basically PC is just digital only, so you technically don't own anything. And Rock Solid replies, you own nothing anyways with physical copies with endless always online DRMs and physical media fizzling out in general. At least I get to grab a game for $5 on sale and have community, workshop, cloud saves, etc. for free. Giants tweets out, Red Dead Redemption 2 cost about $400 million to make from the ground up and sold for $60. Meanwhile, Nintendo develops Mario Kart using reused assets for less than $50 million and wants to sell it for $90. How can anyone possibly justify these atrocious prices from Nintendo? And Positive Vibes replies, back in my day, ass posts like this are so tiresome. Economics works like this, hun, and attaches an image that's showing $60 in 2018 is worth $75.87 today. And Giants replies, so adjusted for inflation, Rockstar would have spent nearly $500 million on RDR2 and sold for $70, but Nintendo is spending about $50 million and selling it for $80 to $90. You simply cannot justify this price. And Positive replies, so don't buy it? Why so mad? Mighty Keith tweets out, it does not stop a Nintendo Switch 2, by the way. PC parts like CPUs and GPUs are going to go up, laptops going up, anything tech related is going up. Next, PlayStation and Xbox are going to require a blood sacrifice. We told Nintendo to drop the price, they finna raise that shit. Dinya tweets out, I'd say Nintendo is in for a rude awakening with these prices, but voting with your wallet is a lost art and people are just going to buy whatever. And that isn't to be condescending to anyone who just wants to play a new Mario Kart because look, I get it. It's just fucked that they can constantly get away with jacking up these prices. And as I said at the beginning, the whole thing with the pre-order being delayed is the most recent update. I'm sure we'll hear more from Nintendo. I doubt that they're just going to completely ignore this. I don't know, I'm not as much of a Nintendo fanboy, so maybe that's in their history, but we're gonna have to see how this develops. Shout out to Kiko, our first internet representative. If you want to become a member, hit the join button below. Thank you guys for all the support, and I'll see you next episode.